today for the first time, have been having a lot of contact with the last couple of months. This is Michelle Welch, and she is with the Virginia Attorney General's office. And if any of you followed that, they created their first animal law unit, and so she is taking care of a lot of different animal prosecutions there in Virginia. She's helping a lot of law enforcement officers. She's getting a lot of information out there so she can put it into animal crime there in Virginia. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer it over to her, and just don't mind me while I'm trying to fix the PowerPoint in the background. So, Michelle Welch.
Okay, so some of you I met yesterday. I taught your lawyers at the bar over downtown Charleston, and that was really fun. But they're a tough room. But you guys are my people because you're like animal control and animal welfare, right?
Yeah.
So instantly I feel at home, right? Yeah. All right, so who knows who Michael Vick is? Oh, Lord, I don't have that many toys. Okay, so tell me, how about this? This is a better trivia question. Tell me what he was convicted of.
Dog fighting.
Oh, no.
What?
I wasn't, not hoarding, but having too many dogs on the property.
No, but you get one just because. So yes, if you follow the rabbit trail, it might be dog fighting. But actually he was convicted of conspiracy of a dog fighting operation. So I bring him up because I've been doing animal abuse cases for about 16 years. I was originally the animal abuse prosecutor in Richmond. We call ourselves Commonwealth attorneys, not district attorneys. So I was like a prosecutor in Richmond, high crime area in Virginia. Used to be the murder capital of the world. Thank God we're not anymore. It's kind of a sleepy little town now. It's good. But we had a huge animal abuse animal fighting problem, and my DA or my CA came to me and asked me to do the animal crimes. So I was there for about 5 years, and I had to move on because I actually ran for Commonwealth attorney and I lost. And so I went to the Attorney General's office. Well, I went to the Attorney General's office, and this is why I'm talking about Michael Vick. They didn't really know that I was one of the first animal abuse prosecutors in Virginia, and I had been helping people across Virginia for many, many years. And so what happened was when I moved on, people were like, "Where's Michelle Welch?" And everybody was like, "Oh, she's at the Attorney General's office." So they would call me, and I had a great boss. I've done a lot of things at the Attorney General's office. One is civilly committing sexually violent predators, and another is representing the ABC board. Totally irrelevant for this question, but what happened was Mr. Vick came to town, and then my Attorney General realized that he actually had an animal law expert in his office, and so they started letting me do whatever I kind of wanted to do, which was nice, right? It's nice to have a boss who will let you do your passion. So I started just giving a lot of advice, and then it kind of morphed into, "Hey, well, will you come do the case for me?" So that's what happened. So I've been doing that for about 10 years, and then my current Attorney General came in, and one of his deputies is a man I've dealt with all my life, and after Michael Vick, we changed our animal fighting law. And so he said, "Well, how about let's create you a unit?" I was like, "Awesome." So we created a unit, and if you build it, they will come. And yesterday, I was talking to your lawyers a little bit about it. What's interesting about it is usually in your Attorney General's office, you have somebody who likes animals. Okay, and they may have already given some advice on animals. And I know from talking to Melissa that there's you have a lot of issues with enforcement, you got some pretty good laws. I've been reading through them. Like, your animal fighting law is not bad, all right? So you've got some good laws, but I know you have enforcement issues. We have that in Virginia as well. So I have some ideas, and I'm going to just toss them out. You may have already tried them. But I'll toss them out in just a little bit. So let's have another trivia contest. How much time did Michael Vick get? No, that's not true.
2
Oh,
years,
no.
wasn't it?
Almost 2 years. There you go. Have a cup. He got almost 2 years. He was charged by the feds, and he was facing no time. So your instinct was right because he had no record. But in Virginia, we were getting up to 2 years on dog fighters. And so the feds called me up and they said, "Well, hey, we are not happy that he's not getting jail time. What are you getting statewide?" And I was like, "Well, we're getting about 2 years." So I ran the numbers with the Sentencing Commission, and I gave that to the feds. And two things happened. They used that at their sentencing. and he smoked marijuana because he was stressed out. So those two things led him to have some time. So, all right, so that's enough about Michael Vick. But after Vick, we changed our animal fighting law. And you guys have some of the great stuff we have in our law. You have attendance at an animal fight not being okay. You have paraphernalia not being okay. You have, I'm pretty sure you have attendance not okay. I'm not an expert in your law. But what we're going to talk about today is kind of what paraphernalia looks like. And if we can get that out. And I'm also going to talk about animal cruelty and neglect and just sort of how you should go about doing your cases. Now, let me see who you are. How many animal control officers do I have? Sweet! I love animal control officers. Yay! Okay. How many animal welfare? Just like running a shelter, saving animals. All right, awesome. And who are the rest of you? I know we got some lawyers. 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 I like lawyers too. I think it was 2 weeks ago. It was Hug Your Lawyer Day or Like Your Lawyer Day, and I was like, yeah, only lawyers have to ask people to like. All right, so for the animal control officers, have you ever done an animal fighting case? No. Tell me why.
We had one, could have, but they laughed at me at the prosecutor's office when I told them.
All right, well, you get a puppy. That's wrong.
Yeah, it was.
That's wrong.
But the feds did it. They busted them, and the
Awesome. Okay, I'm glad you brought the feds. Okay, so I'm a special assistant U.S. attorney for the Western District of Virginia. And what I used to have to do is I have to talk every federal office into a dogfighting case. And I just did a big cockfighting case that crossed Virginia into Kentucky. And the Abingdon office, Randy Ramsayer, who's a great U.S. attorney, I had to meet him for the first time, and I had to talk him into it. So, he's sizing me up. I'm trying to make him not think I'm a crazy animal person. And so, but what I'm going to tell you is this, and this is the interesting part. So just like the Attorney General has started their own, the Virginia Attorney General has our own animal law unit, so does Maine Department of Justice. So know that, especially if it's crossing state lines. So that's the thing about the feds. They're only going to be interested if it's crossing state lines. Anybody know why? The lawyers don't get to answer this. Anybody know why?
States' rights and federal,
Sort of states' rights.
interstate
Interstate,
commerce.
who said, someone said it really quietly, shout that out. You're a smarty. All right, interstate commerce, because that's how they get their jurisdiction. All right, so in Virginia, I have this animal law
Do you have the
unit.
contact information for them?
I'm
Do
sorry?
you have the contact information for them?
I do. If you, I think at the end of my PowerPoints, which I think you have my contact me and I'll put you in touch, okay? Because I don't think you can just call them up and they're gonna, you know what I mean?
Well, I just helped Wayne County last week on a cockfighting thing. That's why I wanted to pass the information along to them.
Awesome,
Because there
awesome.
was a couple felony charges there.
Okay, so I will say yesterday, I had one man roll his eyes at me about cockfighting.
There's another one on the floor.
So from the way I read your statute, it's still legal to cockfight here, but it's a misdemeanor if you gamble on it or you attend it. Anybody know?
I've heard it's a misdemeanor to fight.
It is illegal? Is it only a misdemeanor?
They just passed legislation. It's just going into effect in June that it's illegal to let a child attend now.
Child attendance, okay. So the reason I bring up Michael Vick a lot of times is that before he came to Virginia, it was legal in Virginia to attend a cockfight, except if you gambled on it. If you gambled on it, it was a class 3 misdemeanor, which is basically a fine. So what we did, we had an opportunity to change everything about animal fighting. We outlawed everything to do with it. The gambling, the money, basically the entry fees, having a child there, attending it, everything to do with it, we outlawed. At some point, I'm going to show you some animal fighting operations. So,
Incompatibility.
All right.
PowerPoint to her computer.
okay, got it. All right. So just a little bit more about our unit. What happened was we have built it and they are coming. And our basic focus is 4 things. We give advice to our state agencies like State Vet, DGIF, which is your wildlife or conservation agencies. And so some of the things we do, but we also go around and we give a lot of advice to animal controls, help them investigate. We give a lot of advice to police that stumble across crimes that involve animals. We give a lot of advice to your prosecutors, and I actually will either just give them straight advice if they're in the middle of a jury trial and they want a discreet answer to something about jury instructions, or I'll come down, which I'm doing in July. I'm doing a dogfighting case with a rural prosecutor who's never done one. He's going to handle the lay witnesses because he does that every day. I'm going to handle the experts, and he's going to know how to do it when I'm done. I've handed him over questions to ask. And I'll tell you that even though your law is different, if you want those questions, I'm happy to give them to you. It's not rocket science. It doesn't, I'm not anybody's, intellectual equal, okay? But I've just done a lot of them. You know what I mean? And I've done a lot of big investigations that may be federal, state. Some are just regular investigations that you do every day. And then, so I do that. Sometimes they don't want to do the case because it might be a hot potato. I had a Petersburg fire captain who starved his hunting dogs to death. The Chesterfield Commonwealth's attorney wanted me to come do that case. And so it wasn't that they couldn't do it, it was that, he's like, just come do that. And that's the one thing, and probably the best thing that your Attorney General's office can do, because guess what? Pardon my pun, but I have no dog in the fight. I could care less what the politics in your jurisdiction are. And frankly, sometimes me coming in make the judge stand up and say, "Ooh, the Attorney General's office is here." Sometimes they don't really like that, but sometimes they're like, "Wow, the Attorney General's office might care about this." So bringing that kind of state emphasis to it. But I will tell you that I have no concurrent jurisdiction. I cannot go in and take a case away from a prosecutor or a head DA or head CA. They have to ask me to help. And plenty of them have told me to go pound sand, and that's fine. It's their power. That's hard to tell to the animal welfare community, because the animal welfare community wants you to act and get in there. You're not doing your job. Just like you, I've had plenty of people criticize. You just have to let that slough off of you. The last two things we do is we do a lot of training across the state. Next week I'm going to Abingdon, Virginia. Anybody been there? Ah, okay. Oh, you get a toy for being in Abingdon, Virginia. So Abingdon, I'm going to give this to you. You said you've been there, right?
Yes.
So Abingdon's a beautiful little town. It's in southwest Virginia. It's about 5 hours from Richmond. So I burn up the roads doing the big blue cockfighting pit at Abingdon. But we go around and we're doing a conference there. We're doing a link conference, a link between human violence, and then we're doing a link between blood sports and real drug and gang crime. So here's the thing, and especially, a lot of people are like, who cares? It's cockfighting, we eat chickens, right?
I care. No, I care.
Yeah, I'm glad you care.
I do. I'm just sick and tired of that. That is not the same as Colonel Sanders.
Yes.
That's not.
I agree. So let me tell you, sometimes you have to talk them in, and this is how you do this. In my big blue cockfighting pit, they ran $3 million through that pit. That's how much money they were. I mean, we had an undercover operation for 2 years in that cockfighting pit. We had loads and loads of video. But guess what? They weren't just making money on cockfighting. There was all kinds of illegal activity going on in the parking lot. They were selling spice, marijuana, meth, pills. I mean, you name it, they were selling it in the parking lot. What I try to talk police into is this. If you can't get them on the drug crime, if they are dogfighting or cockfighting, you can get them on that. And in Big Blue, we took down one of the biggest drug dealers in West County. So that's how you get the buy-in, all right? Because I know that people do want to minimize it. All right, so here's the thing. I venture to say that every one of you may have seen a cockfighting operation or maybe a dogfighting operation. I'm hoping not a dogfighting operation, because usually those are more undercover, and that might mean you're a dogfighter, and I wouldn't like you if you're a dogfighter. So, but cockfighting operations are out there, and they are easy to see. And yesterday we talked, and you had seen plenty, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you have in this packet, you got my PowerPoint about the unit. I will tell you, the one thing about the unit is this. You probably have someone in your Attorney General's office who's given animal advice, may want to help you create a unit. And the thing about the unit is that it will highlight the problem. And what my Attorney General says over and over again is this. He said, we want to shine a light that this is important, that the way we treat animals in our society says who we are as a nation. And yesterday when we were talking, I liken animals to children. They don't have any rights because they're our property, but they have protections. And I'll tell you, anytime I can treat them like property and get someone, I do, because everyone's always telling me they're property. So, like a lot of times when I'm seizing the animal, they say, oh no, you can't seize that, that's my loving dog or my loving horse. And I'm like, well, you abused that and it's property, and this is what she or he did, and I want them, Judge. And then the judge will do that for me and usually set a bond provision. And I see that you guys have a seizure statute, but looks a lot like ours. I don't know if you have a bond provision, but it's important to have those kind of things. All right, so we covered units. Maybe see if your Attorney General's office would do that. I know you got some real issues with enforcement.
Yes, we do.
So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that right now, and then we'll go into animal fighting. Oh, enforcement. Okay, so I have that same problem all over Virginia, to the point that I've had Commonwealth's attorneys, when I know that they have a bad animal control officer who's done something bad and I'm talking to them about that, they're like, I'm not doing anything about that. I'm like, okay, don't do anything about that, but understand that the state has regulatory capacity to do something about it, right? Because we have a state vet's office. If you're an animal control officer, or if you are a shelter, we can levy civil penalties against you, okay? More the shelter, not so much the animal control officer. But there's certain things that we can do, and there's certain things that you can leverage. And so this is my suggestion, and you may have already tried it, but you go up the chain of command. So animal control, are you under sheriffs, or are you standalone?
Commissioners.
Commissioners. So commissioner is what exactly?
You don't want to ask me.
County commissioner.
Oh, okay, don't,
Educated.
county commissioners, so they're like a administrator? Are they elected?
Yes.
Okay, so that sounds a little bit like some of what, so our animal controls, they're either in police or sheriff's departments, or they're standalone entities that basically answer to a county administrator, and then if you don't get any relief at the county administrator level, then you go up to the board of supervisors. So that sounds like what the county commissioners are doing. So is there somebody between you and the commissioner that oversees you?
No.
Sheriff's Department, or at least in my county. it's
In
sheriff.
some, okay. It's county by county.
Yeah,
That's the same way it's the same way it is.
Yeah,
The deputies in West Virginia are all humane officers, even though they do not want to act like humane,
Right.
That's
Some
right.
counties, they work kind of together, other counties, not at all.
Okay. All right, so the great thing about my unit is that we really are kind of changing that a little bit, that we're making them care about it more, and big cases are making them care about it more.
Yeah.
Well, they don't not only do not care, they have not a clue what these people do.
There.
They don't.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
that's the same way it is in Virginia.
I'd like to just grab it by their neck and make
Okay.
it all of them.
Okay. All right. So what I say, you're a humane society. So I have this great woman in Richmond who she gets to say stuff I can never say because I'm the government and I don't get to be mean to people. Right? I'm not saying you would be mean, but I'm just saying that sometimes you can be the voice that everybody needs, but you got to do it in a way that they're not going to shut you down, right? So remember I said that I have to always, on the federal level, I have to go in and meet a new U.S. attorney. I have to make them understand I'm not crazy, that that this is organized crime. We need to do something about it, and it's a finesse to it, right? So what I would say is that in your local jurisdictions, you know them better than me, I would start with whoever is above animal control, like supervising them. Or if it's under the sheriff's department, I'd go have a meeting with your sheriff and say, come on, let's try to do this in a more professional way. what's happening in Virginia, and I feel like we're in a tipping point. Now, don't get me wrong, I have plenty of days when I'm like, I hate everyone, right? You're like, how could you do that to that animal? But the bottom line is you have to go to them and try to get the buy-in. And I think Chris did a great job in his presentation about the buy-in. You know, animal fighting is not just animal fighting. It is organized crime. It really is. They make a ton of money. Dog fighting, they are also gambling on every aspect of it. They're charging entry fees to get in. They have children there. There's child endangerment. Not to mention, they're making animals fight each other. They become dog aggressive, and then if they get off or get out of their kennels, they might, hurt someone. I've seen dogs that were so dog aggressive that we had to euthanize them, right? Because you just cannot take a chance on them. Now, okay, are you guys watching O.J. Simpson, the American Crime Story? I'm a little hooked on it. Because I went to law school right after that case.
Yeah,
and I wanted to be a prosecutor, so I was completely hooked. But what the Michael Vick case did was it made people realize that you really should look at each animal. Look at their temperament, look to see, whether they can be a beautiful dog that will love someone or not. So that's the good thing that came out of that case. But when you're trying to get buy-in, you can't ever start with the animals. You got to see what's important to that sheriff and make him understand that this is just another way to look professional, look like you're a crime fighter. And I know some of you guys have been doing it a long time, you're probably jaded. I'm jaded too. But you have to just keep plugging along at whoever the power structure is. And also changing the minds of people, right? A lot of people don't care about cockfighting because they say, well, we eat them. Well, yeah, we do eat them. One of the coolest moments of the Biggest Blue case was when my state vet, who had been my baby state vet, I raised her. And she's on the stand, and she's from the ASPCA now. She's the Department of Veterinary Forensics at the ASPCA at the University of Florida. She is like the bomb, okay? And he thinks because she has ASPCA in her name, in her title, that she's just a welfare person. So he asked the one question too many. My lawyer's the one question too many. What does that mean? You don't know the answer, right? Don't ask a question you don't know the answer to. So this is what he asked her. He said, well, is this more cruel than what they do in the commercial breeding operations when they chop off their heads? Or something like that, something to that extent. She said, actually, this is more cruel. He's like, oh. And so on redirect, I was like, how is it more cruel?
Well, they
She
suffer.
said, huh?
They suffer.
They suffer, but you're basically making them internally bleed, and you keep stabbing them. And the reason it was the one question too many was this: she was my state vet. She'd inspected factory farms and factory farms pejorative, but commercial breed or commercial agriculture industry when it comes to birds, and so she really did know what she was talking about. And the federal judge really listened to her because vets are important. How many of you, when you're doing your case, you bring your vet? Yes.
Sometimes.
Awesome. Okay, it depends on what it is, right? If it's cruelty, you really should bring your vet because the judge is going to listen to the vet. How many of you have had a case where you should have won and you didn't? Me too, everybody. So when you're looking at those cases, I think we're almost there, guys. When you're looking at those cases, I hate to lose. I'm competitive and I like to win. And so I look back at why did I lose, right? Sometimes.
I'm sorry, it was like a corruption between the two
Oh,
versions.
okay.
So it was like, oh my
Okay. All right. Yay! I have those slides now. All right. I can just hit it, right? Yes. Okay. So I'm just going to breeze over this one. Have you ever seen this? This is from the sky. And what do you think this is?
Graves.
No.
Dog box.
No. Yeah, dog boxes. The circles. What are the circles? far as they
Well, they're on their chain, that's where
They can't go
Okay.
anywhere.
They're in the chain. All right, this is my last one. You get it. So many dogs are chained to their boxes or to the blue barrels, right? And they got nothing to do and they're pitties, and so they're going to basically wear out the round around them. And so I'll tell you that when we were on our way to raid Big Blue, we saw so many, and I'll show you the roosters in a minute, tied to the blue barrels. But on the way up to basically bust these prolific cockfighters in Virginia, we saw all these other cockfighters on the way up to it. So I was like, oh, we got some work to do in Southwest Virginia. So these are dogs. This is a dog yard. This is what it looks like. So if you've seen a dog tethered or chained, this is a dog fighting operation. What's great about having an animal fighting ventures law like your own is that it's easy to prosecute. You just have to get your prosecutor to buy in. Now, how many of you have problems with your prosecutor buying in? Okay. Is it, so let me ask you this, because remember, I've been a prosecutor for 16 years. People come at you, people want you to do all kinds of things. You got other stuff to do too. Is it that they don't want to do it because it's an animal case, or is it that they're busy and they feel like the murders or whatever else is going on is more important?
No, a
Yes.
marijuana tree is more important to my guys. All they care about is a 10-foot marijuana tree. Now, you know what, this is a living, breathing thing. They don't care.
Yeah, okay. I get,
I've had somebody tell me they're just dogs, don't worry about it. And
Yeah.
then take off and leave.
okay, so the same thing that we talked about going to your chain of command, you do the same thing with your are they called DAs here? District attorneys? All right, so you go to your head DA, or you go to the deputy DA, then you go to the head DA, and you've got to come at them. Now, if you come at them in the wrong way, you're not going to get the buy-in. But if you can convince them that it's no different than the drug case they just did, and in fact, they could get the biggest drug dealer if they would get at this stuff too, because we know over and over again that they're doing other stuff as well. So in my Big Blue case, they were all on disability. They were making $3 million, people. Like, that's a crook, right?
Yep.
So a profile of a dog fighter, 59% of them are gang members. 70% have been arrested for previous criminal activity, felonies. 65 battery type offenses. 70 narcotics. And I'll tell you, I haven't ever done a dogfighting case that wasn't tied to drugs or guns, period.
We've actually gotten more cooperation out of our city police lately because they have used the dogs as grounds to get in where they know there are drugs.
See,
So they'll sit
you
and watch
sell
that
it
dog
to
and say,
them.
that dog's at large, we can't get probable cause, but if I go with you, I can knock on the door and then you got your probable cause, you get your warrants.
Exactly.
In fact, we got a felony child neglect case.
Are you law
dogs.
enforcement or you're just animal
We're
control?
animal control.
That's the other thing. And see, that's the one thing that they need to understand is you can help them make their case on other things.
Yeah, our sheriff has no respect for us, but the city police respect us, and the deputies are about, half there.
So it's chinks, right? You get one person to care, I mean, for me, I've been doing it for so long that I feel like all I do is train, and then like really good people leave me, and then I have to train. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's going to get better. And I'm going to give you some hope for the sheriffs. The National Sheriff's Association is on board. John Thompson, he is the bomb. And he cares about animals, and he's trying to get animal cruelty, animal fighting training in their curriculum to make every single sheriff do it. And we're also working on the police side as well.
There's the HSUS cruelty and fighting training not an hour away that's free at the end of May. Not one of our deputies will sign up for it.
So what's important about the National Sheriff's Association saying this is important, we're putting in a curriculum, is it changes the game. It changes the dialogue. They can't just say, oh, that's an animal welfare thing, or that's ASPCA, or that's PETA, or whatever it is, right? They can't just put it off as it's not important. So I don't have, days to tell you everything that goes on in a dogfight, but yesterday what I was trying to get across to the lawyers is, a dog fight takes a long time. People do not realize that it can take up to an hour to 3 hours for a dog fight.
Oh.
And that's because they have all these things that they do in the middle of the dog fight. They have the bait dogs where they're trying to, get the lust of the dog up so that they want to be game, and you have the game test, and this is all like looking at the dogs, figuring out whether they're a game dog, whether they want to fight. I had a video once of, I could never find the guy. I could never get anyone to prosecute the guy is more accurate. He was trying to talk this other guy into rolling his dog. And rolling means you're going to fight them and see if they are going to be game. And game means that they really want to fight, basically. And he's talking the guy into it, and the guy's like, no, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to do that. And then a little bit later, and it was a phone, a little bit later in the phone, there's a video where the poor dog has been caught. So there starts the process, right? And that dog's going to have a lot of issues. So in Virginia, we've outlawed all paraphernalia. And so I usually do this for a national audience, just to show law enforcement and prosecutors what it looks like. And so this is what the training equipment looks like. Those are bite sticks. That's basically a spring pole. And you basically, the way they train them to fight is the same way you would train any kind of boxer or any kind of athlete to fight. They basically condition them. They have treadmills, they have spring poles, they have brake sticks. They have the pit, those are the brake sticks. This is what we call the keep, this is a treadmill. Now, if you just had this, well actually not this, if you just had a treadmill, anybody run their dog on a treadmill? Okay, well, that's legal. I'm not coming after you for that, okay? But I gotta know that that's really what you're doing, because if you got a treadmill, I'm gonna start looking at you going, I'm probably gonna be profiling you, right? Because I'm like, I'm not so sure you're not. But if you have a slat mill like this, you're a dog fighter. I've never known any legitimate breeder, trainer that would use this kind of device. So I would tell, and when you go to a dog fighting operation, you're gonna find plenty of them. See that one? That was against somebody's garage. So that's how we know you might be a dog fighter. Spring poles, again, this is a really well-constructed one, but a lot of times they're just kind of fly by the night, right? So he's doing what he likes to do. They like to, play with toys and that sort of thing, but they're basically getting their endurance up. A flirt pole, they usually put some kind of hide on it, and they're like playing with it again, trying to get their endurance up. So we outlawed everything to do with paraphernalia, and one of the questions I get a lot of times is, what constitutes paraphernalia? What if I have a treadmill? Well, one thing isn't going to get you, right? It's just like drug paraphernalia. If you got a roach clip, right, or if you got like a crack pipe, I'm probably going to test that and see if you're, got some cocaine in there, right? So it's the culmination of it all. This is a cat and Jenny. They basically put an animal here, and then he chases the animal. And then, he's basically doing what dogs do. They do chase other animals, right? This is a pit. Now, I had a case in an officer in Henrico who didn't know that he had a portable pit because he hadn't taken a dogfighting training class to look at the stuff. In the Big Blue case, the reason the state got involved was I told you I represented ABC. So my alcoholic beverage control does what? What do you think they do investigatory-wise?
Stills.
Moonshine. So they were moonshiners too. And so we got involved with it, and then we had our dogfighting experts in there as well. And all my dogfighting experts were like, well, they're leaving really important evidence. I said, well, that's why you're here, to tell them. They don't know what cockfighting paraphernalia looks like. You have to be able to recognize it when you see it, right? So this is a pit. Sometimes they're portable pits. I don't have a picture of that there, but they could look like sleds. You have to know what the evidence you're looking for looks like, right? And just like with Chris, and he was talking about in the puppy mills, you look for evidence of other stuff, like the fish antibiotic or veterinary, so, antibiotics that have been prescribed or not prescribed without any kind of valid prescription. You have to know what it looks like. So this is kind of the aftercare. A lot of times, cockfighting and dogfighting, they'll have blue coat. Where do you get blue coat, guys? Legal, right? So it's not what it's fine that it might be a legal thing, but they're using it for an illegal purpose. So you need to seize it so that you can do it. This is the aftercare. Sometimes it's blue coat, sometimes it's like stuff from the feed store, sometimes it's actual evidence. All right, so, but this is the aftermath. The dogs themselves are evidence. We had a case recently. I don't know why they didn't call so I have a Virginia Animal Fighting Task Force. And we have been in existence for, I think, 12 years now. We were in existence before Michael Vick came to town. And in fact, a lot of the reasons he got prosecuted was they had called us to the scene. And the locals were not as interested in the case. And so they called the feds. And so everyone didn't let it go because of the task force. And so the task force is a loose committee. We're kind of a nonprofit of experts. I'm on it, my state vet's on it. Jeanette Reaver from HSUS, Tim Rickey from ASPCA, both in charge of their dogfighting operations, are on it. And so we have this, just wealth of knowledge that can help people. Richard Samuels is the guy who started it, and he's my expert that I put on the stand all over Virginia. And we have an operations team that we're trying to get young officers like y'all, and in case they get them trained up, to come out on different raids with us, and then we're passing on that knowledge to the next generation, right? So this is the aftermath. In that one case, they only seized 3 dogs. They didn't seize anything else. So it was a really hard case to make because they didn't show the dogs. They showed the dogs, but they didn't show any other paraphernalia. And I'm sure there was other paraphernalia. They just didn't know what they were looking at, right? The other issue is this. I can't even tell you how many times we train people. Those officers had been trained. So they knew what to look for. They just didn't know how to implement it. You know what I mean? And so that's why you need to have some people who know what they're doing. You know what I mean? And I highly recommend the task force just to help people, because you need to bring people up, right? You need to show them what professional animal control police work looks like, right? It's very important. This is the defense. So for the lawyers, we always want to know what the defenses are. They always try to say that they are weight pullers. And weight pullers, as far as I've ever known, it's just another way for dog fighters to meet each other. I'm sure there may be legitimate ones, but we know that dog fighters go to these things and they arrange other matches. Very, very underground. The other thing they have are these kind of things. They have a lot of paperwork. They're very, very proud of what they're doing. And I'll tell you that just like Chris was talking about, he was talking about the bestiality forums and that stuff. They are on the internet talking all the time, and that's how we get them as well. But they'll have these registrations, and the American Dog Breeders Association, they use that association to actually have register their dogs so they can show to other dog fighters the line, the bloodline. The bloodline is really, really important to them. So you're going to have these registrations, whether it's ADVA or if it's another association. They're going to have pedigrees. Now this is, obviously a very, it's typed up. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes it's just in a spiral notebook. But again, you have to know what you're looking for, right? So you have these pedigrees. You have notebooks full of. You might have a weight pulling harness, maybe. I've only found one of those. But they're also going to have lots and lots of magazines that have to do with either American Dog Breeders Association's magazine or Sporting Dog Journal or American Sporting Dog Journal. They have all these different magazines that are basically advertising dogs to stud out, to breed, they have their own jargon about what they're doing in the magazines and when the matches are. So this is how they cash in, and this might be your way to talk your police force into it, because do y'all have a forfeiture law? Okay, so everyone likes forfeiture, right? Well, dogfighting, you can forfeit the proceeds. And so if you go on that property and they have all this money, you can forfeit it. So in the Big Blue case, I told you $3 million. We forfeited $1 million, basically. Something a little less than that. And so the feds got that, and now they're going to distribute it to the locals.
Can you seize the real property on which the dog fighting is taking place?
You can. Now, I will tell you this. The feds are better at that than the states. The states, because it's a long and arduous process when you're talking about property, and the property may have liens against it, and they have a mortgage, that sort of thing. So the feds are better at that sort of thing than we are in the states. But you can do that. You can forfeit vehicles. You can forfeit the money. But think about if you raid an active pit. Now, if you're going to do that, you better have a plan, okay? Because it's really dangerous. And when we raided Big Blue, we had 5 state police TAC teams. It was the coolest thing I've ever done. To digress for a minute, I was on Red Onion. You know what Red Onion is?
No.
It's our Supermax prison. So I saw the sun come up on Red Onion and the sun set on Red Onion. And me and my me and my ABC officer rode out of town and we closed out the search warrant. It was awesome. So it was a lot of fun, but it's also a lot of work, right? And so you better have a plan. If you're going to do an active pit, if you know it's an active pit, you need a lot of sheriffs. You gotta get buy-in because it's dangerous. Big Blue, my Richard Samuels, the head of my task force, he was undercover for 2 years. And so you're not going to have those cases come every day, but you're going to have paraphernalia cases. You're going to be there on like a drug thing or whatever, and you're going to come across this stuff every single time. My very first dogfighting case, they were there for the drugs. They had a drug search warrant. My animal control officers called me, and they said, "Michelle," oh my God, they were so excited. It was like their first one, and they were like, "Michelle, we're here for a drug search warrant. Do we need to get another one?" I was like, yes. Because the reason is that the search warrant was just for the drugs. If you seize the dogfighting paraphernalia, then they can throw that out on a motion to suppress. So the reason animal control was there was kind of what you were talking about earlier. They were there to look under the dog houses to see if there were drugs under the dog houses. But animal control knew what they were looking for. They saw the dogfighting dogs, which is indicia, right? And so they went and they got their search warrant and they came back and it was Richard Robinson, and we got 2 years on him. And then 5 years later, we got 10 years because dogfighters and cockfighters are recidivists, right? They like it. It's part of their, you know, they growed up on it, right? So, it's in their blood. They like it. They don't think anything's wrong with it. I'll tell you that in the Michael Vick case, a friend of mine represented one of the defendants, co-defendants, not Mr. Vick. And that defendant said to her, "The dogs want to fight. I'm just doing what they naturally do." So let's talk about cockfighting, because that's another thing they talk about in cockfighting. I don't know if there's any, I'm going to kind of blaze through this a little bit because we had some issues. All right, let me do this real quick because it's the same for cockfighting as well. So this is the buy-in for law enforcement, the collateral crimes. You got larcenies, you got narcotics, you got alcohol, you got gambling. Gambling's the one that no one seems to hit on. Most states, I don't know if you have a gambling law here, but most states have a gambling law that you can't just gamble on anything. And it's highly regulated, right? So gambling, firearms, they're gonna have guns, especially if they're dog fighters. In the Big Blue case, when we raided, the guy picked up his gun And one of my state police troopers said, "You better put that down," right? Because they have guns. Malicious wounding and assaults. They have child neglect and endangerment. I have great pictures of children at these fights. We're training a second generation. In the Big Blue case, in trial, we tried the manager of the pit, his wife, and his son. The wife took a jury, and her defense was, "I was just running the kitchen. I was just cooking food." We showed a picture of her in the middle of the bloody pit with her baby granddaughter and the big old trophy, because they're like everybody else. How many of you have soccer trophies? Right?
Oh, gosh.
Or karate trophies or baseball trophies? They have big trophies. You know, it is to them a way of life. And so we showed that picture and said, "Sorry, you're in the middle of the bloody pit. You're married to him. We know that you're part of what? The conspiracy," right? So there's been rape, there's been homicides, there's been vice crimes where they're like, basically prostituting people out. So it's just another crime. And if you leave the emotion out of it, and I get it, I don't like them. I don't like them at all. But if you get the buy-in through this, then they'll understand it. And I'll tell you that since we made cockfighting a felony in Virginia, sheriffs are much more likely to come calling and say, "Hey, I want to do it." Now, that's not all the time. I still have to do a whole lot of convincing, right? I'm pretty diplomatic, and I have some skills there. You may not see them today. Tax law violations is another one, and veterinary medicine. So the bottom line is you have to meet people where they are, and you have to talk them into it. So this is about like how you do it, and I don't know if that's as important for you guys. This is a cat. This is a Jenny in a house, and that's what not a house. That is what it looked like on the outside. So again, you have a lot of suffering, and I care about it for the dog's perspective, but you have to talk people in. That's a rape stand. And I will tell you right now, no reputable breeder ever has one of those. I've only seen them at a dog fighting operation or animal fighting venture. So that's Michael Vick's property. If you look at it, back here is where the dogs were, and then there was like a graveyard as well. He fought them in the mansion, in a room upstairs. So they can be fought anywhere, in a basement, in a room, basically anywhere. All right, we're to cockfighting. So this is my inspiration for you guys. You gotta wipe it out, because it's one of those things. I know it's prevalent. I know it goes back. I'm in Virginia. We're the same. I feel like we have the same kind of rural demeanor with people where they're like, I did it. My granddaddy did it. I'll tell you that one of my executive directors of a state agency told me, "Oh, I inherited my grandfather's gaffes." And I looked at him, I was like, "Dude, don't tell anyone that. You can tell me, but don't tell anyone else that, okay?" So it's not something to be proud of anymore, all right? So, and the reason is that it is organized crime. It just is. They're making a ton of money off of it. They're doing all kinds of other stuff. So, illegal gambling, firearms, narcotics. I can't even express to you the narcotic part of it. All right, it is a way of life, and they are doing all kinds of other crimes. They just are, and so that's why people need to care about it. They're laundering money, and if they're a real big pit, they are laundering a whole lot of money. All right, so let me just give you an example of how much money we're talking about. So to get in to the pit, it's $25 just to drive in, and you have to be vouched for, by the way. Then to enter the derbies, and it's a 4-cock derby, all right, $2,500 for 4 tickets. Then you get in the fight, and you're wagering on how fast your bird is going to kill the other bird. So that's a side bet. So there's all these side bets going on as well. Then once it gets dragged to the drag pit, they're going to be probably at that point wagering on how fast the bird is going to die. Then you have to pay, well, before all that, you're going to pay a cock house fee. All right, so that's where you house your roosters until ready for the fight, right? That might be $2,500. If you get one of the really nice houses out back, that could be, a really expensive fee. Now, there were cheaper ones, obviously, right? But you have that. Then you have the people who basically wrap up the bird. They basically wrap the, I'm not using the right term, but wrap the moleskin around the bird's spur to attach the gap. He gets a fee. And then we had Mr. Robinson sharpening up the spurs for $5 or $10 a bunch. Now, all these people were living on disability. So we have acts of violence. We have moonshine. And my poor undercovers had to drink moonshine, and I was like, oh my God. And I had defense attorney, because we had moonshining, we had illegal alcohol, not moonshine, illegal alcohol charges that I prosecuted. And the defense attorney's paralegal told me, well, I've got moonshine in my refrigerator. I was like, no, don't tell me that. Yeah. So the feds care about whether you pay taxes on that moonshine. In Virginia, we care about it all. We've outlawed everything to do with moonshine. And so, we have recipient, and then we have, there's very, very many charges for that. But again, you have that segueing into the cockfighting. All right, so this is what a pit looks like, and this is one of the side bets. He's side betting with someone on how fast the rooster is going to die. So here's the thing. I eat chicken. I enjoy chicken. Okay? But this is not appropriate in any way, shape, or form. And to take a child to this, it is not appropriate. Let me tell you, in California, there was a news report about a cockfight where one of the men died. And they were talking about, it was so sad that he died. Do you know how he died?
Heart attack. Got
No.
excited.
Yeah, from the spur. From the spur.
If I had another toy, I'd give it to you. So the bird flew up, and the knife was attached to the spur,
That's awesome.
and he got his, what's the artery in your leg? Femoral sliced, and he died. And all they talked about wasn't the cruelty to the bird, but he was a father of two. And I was just sort of like, a father of two that was engaged in criminal enterprise. And probably was the one that strapped the knife or the gaff to the bird's things. This is what a game fowl farm looks like. You ever seen anything like this?
Yes.
Me too. And I keep getting calls about it. This is another one. So they use the same glue barrels that the dog fighters use. And they basically tether them on there. Now, I had someone recently, as a defense, say, oh, well, this was because they're my pet birds.
Yeah.
And this is how I house them. This is not how someone would house their pet birds. What is a defining factor about a cockfighting operation? What do you think? What do you think would tell me whether it's a cockfight?
Combs are gone and they're water.
Yes, we're going to get there, but also the ratio of
They're all
Male to female?
roosters to females. So, how many of you have farmers in your in your background? Did they have more than one or two roosters? I guess it depends on the size of it, right? But for the most part, you don't want more roosters, right? So if you have more roosters, then you know it's a game fowl or a cockfighting operation. So individual pens, these are fly pens, where they basically do it. They do the same thing that dog fighters do. They have a keep where they're like feeding them special food and they're training them. And so they have sparring muffs that they put on them to, basically spar. But this is the keep stall where they're keeping them so that they're like, ready to fight. So, disproportionate number of males on tethers, and some males are trimmed and ducked. So this is what a regular rooster looks like, and that's what a cockfighting rooster looks like. no waddle, no comb, waddle. So none of that is on there. They cut that because it bleeds. And in a fight, you don't want it bleeding into the bird's eyes. You want them to be able to fight. This is a natural spur, and this is what they strap. The let me get to that. They strap the knives to. So I kind of blaze through basically a scoreboard, just like you guys when you do baseball, little league or whatever. You know, you have a scoreboard. They have scoreboards. So I'm going to tell you a funny thing, because remember I'm a prosecutor and I'm a little macabre. So my undercover Mark was on this stand, and I leaned over to one of my federal counterparts and I said, because he's talking about doing this. They suck the blood out of the mouth so that the bird will keep fighting. They also blow on their backs to keep them to keep fighting. And I said, because I'm a little macabre, I said, how'd you like him to suck the blood out of the rooster and come home and kiss you? Wouldn't that be great? And of course they're like, Michelle, you're just wrong. I am wrong. So anyway, so this is the paraphernalia. This is what the knife looks like. Now think about that, guys. So it's ramming into the rooster. And it's basically, you know, blooding him and stabbing him over and over again. And so roosters, unlike dogs, when the dogs are in a dog fight, they vocalize. Roosters get quiet, and they try to hunch over, and they don't want to be hurt anymore. So gaffs, that's what a gaff looks like. That's what a short knife looks like, and that's what a long knife looks like. That's healing equipment. And these are the sparring muffs. Now, I had a case where we didn't have gaffs. We only had sparring muffs. And we had, I showed you, it said Shiloh Club, and it had a listing of all the derbies. So we had that. And we had an admission that they were sparring them in the yard. We still prosecuted them. I still won because they were, again, preparing for the fight. They had the paraphernalia. And that was enough of the law. Now, I'll tell you, and this is, I kind of confessed yesterday, as hard charging as I am, I don't always get the kind of jail time I want. And in cockfighting cases, except for Big Blue. Big Blue, I got, me and Randy Ramser, we got like, what did we get? Like 22 months for that. But it was, you know, it was because he was, you know, running the actual pit. In just a paraphernalia case, I'm only getting suspended time. They might make them a felon, but they won't give them jail time. And I think it's because, again, that mentality of we eat chicken, what's the big deal? That's what it is.
Do they lose their disability benefits?
That's what you need to go
I will
after.
tell you that they lost a lot more than that. I mean, I don't really know that they'll ever recover financially from this. And you know, and they shouldn't, because I mean they basically were making a whole lot of money on the backs of a lot of suffering of animals. And I'll tell you that the dog may make it out of the ring, but the roosters never do. And if they make it out, they'll put a lot of times they'll just throw them in the trash can for them to bleed out. So it's a very brutal world. Okay, 0. All right, so we are done.
I want to let them know too that the handouts that I passed out has all of your PowerPoint for your dog fighting or animal fighting case, and also your cruelty handouts that you had yesterday, and your animal law units. So all that information is in your handouts, guys.
Right. If I can ever be of any service to you, please call me. I have started talking to a lot of attorney general's offices to try to, you know, they called and said, well, how do you do it? And I try to help them do that. To figure out whether they want to create an animal law unit. I'm pretty good at talking to prosecutors or even sheriffs or police officers, so if I can help you in any way.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I am so sorry.